Hey there, welcome to the Healthy Brain Podcast. Thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to be here today. I just got in from a walk and I thought, well, I could put some makeup on and get myself all dressed up, but I have a busy day. I wanted to record this podcast for you because I've really been thinking about this topic a lot over the last few days, weeks. And I recently finished a book. I started a book a while back, and it's called How to Be Your Future Self Now from Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Excellent book. I just finished listening, and I do generally read books, but I once in a while I'll do an audible, especially when I'm walking around. But this, I've been thinking more about this future self, and we hear a lot about this. If you're in the if you're interested in personal development, people talk about this a lot of be your future self now, act how you want to be, and you'll see success. But it's easier said than done. And many times, most of my clients, when I'm working with them, there's challenges on different levels. So what I'd like to do is guide you through how to actually do this. How are you and how are you being your future self now? And I'll give you a couple of little tips and tricks. I'll make this a short one. This is going to be a short podcast because I need to get to the gym, do a workout before I come back, and I have 6 clients to see today. So I want to get all of that done. It's busy, busy, busy. It's July 3rd, so the day before our holiday here in the States. And first off, I wish you a happy Independence Day and safe Independence Day weekend. All right, so let's look at this future self. Why do we talk about our future self? It's because what research has shown, research and also in neuropsychology and the cognitive behavioral therapy, we know that thoughts create our feelings, which create our actions, which create our results. So when you're thinking the same thoughts and actions, you actually stay the same person. If you're thinking the same thoughts and feeling the same way and taking the actions day over day upon day upon day, you'll be the same person. And in some cases, you'll actually regress because we never quite stay the same. You're either growing or you're not growing. We need to change our thoughts and our actions to be our future self. And as children, we dreamed and thought that anything was possible. Now, though, as adults, we've conditioned ourselves to stay small, not to take chances. Just think back on all of the dreams you might have had growing up, and you just let your creativity soar. Whereas now, as an adult, your brain automatically will think of, oh, this will not work. This can't work. The obstacle is this, or I tried this, so I know that won't work. So when you're thinking of why is being your future self now so crucial? It's because we have to be intentional on thinking as our future self, because our default is, I'm just going to play it safe. I'm just going to stay where I am, and I'm not going to make the changes that need to happen. I'm just going to turn off my fan here so it doesn't have that. I was getting a little warm after that walk. Okay. Once we know, now you know why, and I could go deeper into the why, but I want to get really to the nuts and bolts of this. So what do you want to change in your life? When I start working with people, most people have a general idea of what they would like. Usually when someone's ready to work with a coach, they know they want something different. You have to be really honest with what you want and what's happening in your life right now. and you have to face it. And sometimes most often it's not pretty. You may not like where your finances are. You may not like your relationship, your career, your health. Look at and identify, take some time to really think of all areas of your life and what would you like instead? Let yourself be honest. When I help people, I'll guide them through the life wheel. I help them create their goals, a plan, and start dreaming again, creating a vision. When you're thinking of this, really give yourself time to think of what you would like in your life. Now goes into the next area, which is who is the person who has achieved the goal that you identified in what you want. Now, when you're looking at who and also what do you want in your life, I have been loving this thing I call the possibility walk. It's where you go out and walk, and I did it this morning. And I started off listening to something. I had a podcast on in my earbuds, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to turn off the podcast and I'm just going to let myself think of the possibilities. And what happens is with the walking, you're using energy, you're creating energy. It's increasing the vibration in yourself. You're surrounded by nature. Even if you're walking around in the city, you're outside. Nature is outside in the air. And the possibility walk is where you start talking to yourself or out loud. And really nobody, I mean, I'm talking to myself out loud. Somebody may just think I'm talking on the phone, but there's not a lot of people around me when I'm walking. But I'm talking out loud and I'm letting myself dream of the possibility, oh, this is going to be great when this is happening. And I can see myself doing this or that. That possibility walk can be really amazing for you. So I encourage you to try that. If you're having difficulty figuring out what do I really want, letting yourself dream, who is that person, then try this possibility walk. You also, after so let's say you're doing the possibility walk, or maybe you already are in a high vibe state where you're like, okay, I really know what I want, and this is the person I envision. Answer these questions and write them down. And the reason I want you to write it down, who and what you want, is because you're creating a vision. And when you write it down, you're going to reread this paragraph every day. And it doesn't have to be a fancy paragraph with all the punctuation. You could do bullet points if you want to. But answering these questions about who is the person who has achieved the goal that you identified that you would like to achieve. What are they doing? Who are they talking to? How does your future self look? What is my future self saying? Where are they? Who is surrounding them? What kind of things are they doing in their daily life? Like you can even write out, what are they doing? I used to do this. I would write out what my future self was doing and I was working in a hospital clinic, and I would go out for a walk during lunch, which a lot of times I was just usually doing reports, but I made myself go out for a walk, and I got into this high vibe possibility. And at that time, I didn't call it the possibility walk. I was just in the state of, this is how I envision my work day to go, is where I'll be able to exercise in the morning at a reasonable time. Because at that time I had to wake up really early, work out at 6 o'clock in the morning. I sometimes still do workout early, but now I envisioned back then being able to take time for myself and then start seeing clients at around 11 o'clock. And that's what I'm doing right now. But it took me thinking about it and living as that person and thinking about how is she acting. I thought of it back then, and now it's part of my reality. And the tips that I'm giving you is allow yourself to spend time to really answer these questions, to think about really what you are doing, your future self. Even ask. Some people have a practice of asking their future self. You can envision yourself walking in a garden and your future self is sitting on a bench and you sit beside her and you ask her questions. I know it sounds a little hokey pokey, but it's your vision. It's however you can tap into your future self. Now, you may be saying, well, I don't really know what she's doing and I don't really know for sure. Well, we never really know for sure, but take an educated guess. That's it. Your brain is going to offer you a lot of resistance because it's been offering you resistance. But just take a breath and say, I'm going to try and take an educated guess on, and in science, when I was doing research, we used to use this. It's a hypothesis. You take an educated guess on how your science, your research is going to uncover. It's an educated guess. We don't know the future, but what I'm encouraging you to do is get into the action of allow yourself to dream again. High vibes encourage creativity. You're creating a vision, you write it down. So you write down where you are, who this person is, your future self, write it down. The reason I have you write it down, as I mentioned, is I'm going to have you now to the next step. And the final step is don't just take this piece of paper and shove it away. Look at it every day. There's a few times in the day that I find very powerful. The first is after meditation. So I meditate in the morning and I have a practice of visualizing after my meditation. So if I'm listening to a meditation, or this morning I just was listening to the birds singing and I had a timer. So once that finished after 10 minutes, I then allowed myself to visualize my future self. I can say it has gotten easier. However, I still have resistance at times, especially when it's a new vision. And if I'm managing a lot of things and obstacles in my mind, you're training your brain to think and feel a certain way. And it's a practice. So this morning, it flowed a little easier, this visualization, than yesterday. But I just take a few minutes after I meditate and I visualize. The other time that you can really visualize your future self, because what you want to do is change the emotional state in your body to match that of the person who is your future self. And when we exercise, move our body, walk, dance, even meditation, because it's a higher vibe state, you can achieve that higher vibration and then put on that visualization on top of that, moving your body. So another time of when I like to visualize my future self and what my future self is doing is my possibility walk. So the meditation, possibility walk. It could be after my workout. It could be when I'm driving home from the gym. You also can, that's the time when you're more moving. And when before you go to sleep, you take this vision statement paragraph and you read it. Feel how it feels to be your future self. I hope I've given you some ideas on how to be your future self now. To just say that you want to achieve a certain goal and continue taking the same actions, it more than likely won't lead to that future goal. Identify the actions and how someone, your future self, is acting. Identify that, how they're feeling, what they're doing, how they interact in a conversation. Knowing that and applying that into your vision, and create a vision, write it down, look at it frequently, practice being in that state, of that emotional state of that person, and you will find that you become that future self. Thank you for joining me today. Make sure that if you're interested in setting up a discovery call with me or learning more about coaching with me, if you're ready to take the step, now you can take all of these tips and tricks that I'm giving you, try it out on your own. I know that when I was able to achieve some smaller things, but it's when I started working with a coach, and the coach was able to help me see how I was thinking and how it was keeping me stuck. Literally, it was an overnight transformation. And that is what I give to my clients. I encourage them with all of the different protocols that I help them create in their life. And I want the same for you. So thank you for joining me. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your 4th of July.